I'll play it until my controller flies away till I die, or until I get fired from a job. This is the video intro for today, Dragon Balls, rough like my new gamepad sticks. Spanking Zero, Sparking Zero. We're blessed with new gameplay videos every single day, and the more I watch these videos, I get so angry for not being a huge YouTuber getting an invitation to play early. As of weeks ago, this is the most pre-ordered PlayStation game, right up there with Call of Duty, and as I count days until October, my coping mechanism kicks in, and I fire up old Tenkaichi games, so I thought, why not rate them? Let's begin. First off, we've got Budokai Tenkaichi the first, and sadly, I've played this game only after beating the second and third one, so to be honest, this one was a bit underwhelming. There's this familiar looking menu where you have to fight off fucking ancient PS2 save data screens, and then after that, you do a super ghost minigame while waiting for Mr. Poo Poo to tell you, which story do you want to play? You choose the arc you want to play and then this banger comes on, and I didn't even want to start the mission then, and I just chilled there listening to this. The roster in this game is alright, and it features the most important characters. The combat is a bit unintuitive compared to the newer ones, and has this very goofy looking Speed of Light Star Wars looking ass background while doing special moves. This lock-on mechanic that I'll never get to like. But hey, it has rocks flying around you when you power up, that's pretty neat, right? The game also features Flashbang from CSGO. I was very enthusiastic about entering the World Tournament as my favorite character, and I was dropped into a mustache fight of the century. I pulled a dirty move on Mr. Satan and then I begged him for forgiveness, and in return he gave me a gift, so we became good friends. C tier. Fuck, this game brings back memories, man. The music, the insanely cool intro, it's just so awesome before the game even starts. Budokai Tenkaichi 2 is my first ever DBZ game. This game is so special to me, I cannot emphasize this enough. It has so many banger songs, the best design menu in my opinion with great mini-games, and most importantly, huge roster and story mode with basically every single fight that happened in the series. Hell, if Goku got caught beating his meat, it would also be featured in this game. Why this was so important to me back in the day is because I haven't really had internet access until like 2012, so I've never had a chance to watch the whole thing until then, and this game was the next best thing, covering basically the whole series and all the fights. It even has one of the most underrated fights between Piccolo and Android 17, and I love that one. Excuse me sir, what? Also, the game kinda lets you fly around the map in between the missions, which was pretty cool too. The game was just bigger, better, faster, more explosive than the first one, and it was a huge step in the right direction. You could just feel it as soon as you started playing the game. There's this thing called Evolution Z that lets you boost your characters so story doesn't feel as difficult, and I realized what it does only after my third playthrough. Every character was so unique with such variety of special moves, like this one. No, I meant this one. Wait, what about this one? Or my very favorite transformation and auras look kinda bad in this game. I'm gonna take over the body of the strongest earthling Yajirobe. Change now! But Vegeta? What the f? A tier. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is the GOAT.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Let's get the not so great stuff out of the way first. The music isn't as awesome as the second game in my opinion, but it's still very good, and some of the story fights are squeezed together into a single mission, but that's pretty much everything about it. Everything else the second game lacked, this one improved, and it created a complete, ultimate DBZ experience. The transformations and auras look fucking sick, and you can actually move while super dashing and even super dash behind the enemy, and it's so cool. Everything feels so tight, so explosive, just so DBZ. Just look at the Spirit Bomb, man. They went balls deep into making these ultimate attacks. Vegeta, what does the scouter say about this game's cool factor?
It's over 9,000!
The models and effects look even better. You got Gohan pulling out Z-swords out of the ground, and you get to beat Krillin as Zendaya. Does it get better than this? S tier, this one. Tenkaichi Tag Team. I didn't even know this game existed until a couple years back. And when I did finally get to play it, I was very positively surprised. Sure, it's a slightly dumbed down and graphically inferior version of Tenkaichi 3, but given that it was a PSP exclusive, it was pretty good, I can tell you. I kinda like the character models despite being slightly downgraded and lacking the strong black outline from the other Tenkaichi games. Despite the simplified control scheme due to PSP not having as many buttons as a PS2 controller, the gameplay was still pretty much intact and it still felt very snappy and very rock solid, you know, very DBZ. The story also involved a world map similar to the second Tenkaichi game, with chibi-style character models similar to what we've seen much later in Dragon Ball FighterZ. The biggest changes to this Tenkaichi game were much smaller roster that completely omitted Dragon Ball GT characters and the tag team fighting, hence the name Tenkaichi Tag Team. 2-on-2 fighting in this game can get very chaotic sometimes, especially if everyone is kind of fighting around the same spot. Although, dropping 2 ultimates onto a single unfortunate soul can be pretty cool. This one goes into B tier. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi. Only the World Ultimate makes your PP hard. The graphics are awesome, and awesome are the graphics. I couldn't wait to tell you guys how fucking bad this rock, paper, scissors game was. I couldn't handle to actually play this game and record it extensively, so there it is, the lowest of the low. Shit tier. If we forget about the previously mentioned disaster of a game with Xbox 360 and PS3 at their apex, the new dawn of Tenkaichi games takes place under a new name, Raging Blast. Trust me when I say this, I had a raging boner watching gameplay videos of this game since I haven't had any of the consoles at the time of its original release. Graphics got completely revamped for this game, the effects look super good, the character models look significantly slimmer and much less vibrant looking than their PS2 counterparts, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially because I think this game is the only one that nailed the hair color of Super Saiyan transformations. The art direction though sometimes felt a bit weird, as some characters like Vegeta don't always look like themselves, but otherwise the game was very pleasing to the eye and still is, I can say.
You're not nearly as tough as everyone thinks.
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
But what about the other aspects? The story is, I'd say, as good as the second Tenkaichi game, as it also features most fights that happen in the series, which is a great thing, with the exclusion of GT. Also surprisingly, there are even some cutscenes with in-game engine, which is pretty neat. Besides moving controls for special moves from LT plus face button combination completely to the right stick and moving the button for vanish, the gameplay remained mostly unchanged. But there are some things I found lacking in this game. The roster includes only 45 characters without transformations and only 3 movie characters, Broly, Bardock, and Super Gogeta, and a very curious non-canon Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta that nobody asked for. Also, I wasn't very happy with the sound design and some animations in this game. I know you might think that this is just being picky, but hear me out. The animations and sound effects are kind of lighter than before, and there's no way I'm just imagining this, but punches, smashes, combos, ki blasts, they don't feel nearly as punchy, as heavy, as DBZ as in the older PS2 titles. And that's why I need to put this game in B tier. Last but not least, Dragon Ball Raging Blast 2. I watched tons and tons of online matches on YouTube long before I had my hands on the game. I had, to say the least, really high hopes for this one. I expected it to keep the good stuff from the first game and improve the stuff that didn't really work. And you know what they did? They made everything that was good worse and everything wrong with the game better. That sounds bad. But let's cover the bad stuff first. The story mode got... Wait, which story mode? That's right, baby. Tired of doing the same story over and over again in DBZ games? We gotcha. We removed it altogether and put Galaxy mode. Now what the fuck is a galaxy mode, you may ask? Well, it's basically a bunch of missions available for every single character in the game, which is kinda neat, but with ridiculous difficulty and conditions at some points. Play 1v5 with 1 HP, they said. It would be fun, they said. Remember how I praised the character models of the first game? Well, guess what? Everybody looks like a shiny dildo. Even Super Saiyan hair looks super orange. I can't really diss it and say the characters look terrible, but my personal preference goes with the first game. On the other hand, a lot of other stuff has gotten a lot better. Stages look completely amazing, that I really had to ask myself sometimes, was this game really released for PS3? The roster got bigger, now featuring 67 characters, and most importantly, for the first time ever in a Dragon Ball game, we've got the most important Dragon Ball character ever. This guy. And most importantly, the game feels a good amount punchier. It's still not on Budokai Tenkaichi level, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely more impactful than the first game. And we also got online play with this game, which hopefully translates well into what we'll see with Sparking Zero later this year. Finally, I can say the good outweighs the bad with this game, and I really wanted to put it in A tier. But completely omitting the entire story of the series that got us into playing the goddamn game in the first place is kind of unforgiving for me. So the last one goes into B tier as well. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Bandai Namco, if you're listening, please DM me with some early access or anything. I'm starving. Ciao.